Well, good morning, everyone. It really isn't a good morning, though. It's cold, wet, and rainy, and I stayed up till 3:30 in the morning to watch the Red Sox lose a tough game. But at least they're still up 2-1. But thanks for coming today, and thanks for inviting Mass Mutual. We really appreciate you having us out here. We just want to go over a brief presentation on the annuity fund. It is such an important benefit. I always joke around and say we're living longer, which is a great thing, but it's also a scary thing, too, because that's more money that we have to have in retirement. The average life expectancy today for a male, it's around 83 to 84 years old, and for a female, it's 86 to 87 years old. So I guess you get a few more years for putting up with us throughout those years. So it's all about, trying to save as much as you can so you can retire on your own terms and live comfortably. I probably told you this last year, but the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do is, I saw my grandparents growing up, and I grew up in southeastern Connecticut, two blue-collar type families. The difference was my dad's parents saved, and my mom's parents didn't. So when I was a little boy, I'd always ask my dad, hey, where's Grandma and Grandpa this winter? And he'd always say, Mike, you're not going to see them. They're out in Florida. They're on a cruise. They're able to have that fun retirement that I think we all dream about having. For my mom's parents was the complete opposite. My grandfather retired and had to go back to work, 3 years into retirement because he didn't save enough. And he was doing, physical manual labor at General Dynamics down in Groton, Connecticut. There's a huge difference if you're working in your 70s, your 80s, your 90s because you want to, versus you have to. So time is always on your side to save. So, especially for your younger apprentices starting off your career, once you're eligible for the annuity fund, the 401k, put in as much money as you can, because sometimes as you get, more mature and closer to retirement, it does get harder to save because you might have more responsibilities. So never think, you're too far away from retirement, because I think we all can agree the one thing we can never get back is time. A common question I always get is, Mike, what's the magic number? How much money should somebody retire with? And there is no magic number. So don't let that scare you thinking I have to have $1 million to retire on. Why? We all have different lifestyles. Some of you, maybe your mortgage is paid off in retirement. Maybe you're like me and you can't stand the cold weather and your dream's to retire in Florida, and maybe you're going to have 2 mortgages you might be paying. Think about where do you want to live in retirement. Certain states are more affordable to live in than other states. States like Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, Washington State don't even have what's called a state income tax. That's the only legal way where you can retire and take distributions and not have to pay state taxes on your withdrawals. Not to keep talking about Florida, but there was a stat I read yesterday. There's over 10,000 people that move to Florida each day. And again, maybe it's because of the weather, maybe it's because it's more affordable, maybe it's because of the fact that there is no state income taxes. Massachusetts, especially New York, are some of the most expensive states to retire in, real estate-wise and tax-wise. So get a better understanding, what hobbies, where do you want to live, what is your retirement going to look like? Because again, there truly is no magic number that we all have to have, based on our pension, the annuity fund, the 401k. We all have different lifestyles. So how do you envision your retirement? The common theme here in this picture is everyone's happy. So whether you want to retire and open up your own business that you've always dreamt about, maybe you want to get season tickets to see the Patriots each year, not an expensive thing. Maybe you're someone that wants to have that second house up in the mountains or, down south. Whatever it might be, retirement should be a fun thing, doing stuff you love, spending time with friends and family. As I mentioned before, if you're working later on in life because you want to, different story. But if you're working later on in life because you have to, it's not so much fun. We talked about we're living longer. Another question we get is, how much income should I have in retirement? So going back to my point, there's no set amount that we all need to retire on. This is just a rough example of what an average person might need in retirement based on how much money they were living off of while they were working. So an average retiree typically needs 80% of their current income they were living by while they were working. Why is it 80% and not 100%? Maybe, again, as I mentioned, a mortgage. Maybe that's one payment that will go away in retirement. You're not commuting to work each day, so maybe you're saving money on gas, transportation. I have 2 little kids in daycare. I'm spending $2,400 a month just on daycare. Hopefully in retirement, I'm not paying for daycare anymore. So that's another less expense I'll have later on in life. So some of our current expenses today, The good news is maybe they won't be there later on in life. So that's why an average retiree typically needs 80% of that current income they were used to living by, while they were working. So let's just say your average salary throughout your career was $50,000. Well, 80% of $50,000 is $40,000. If you live 20 years in retirement, of course this doesn't factor in inflation, but this person in retirement roughly would need about $800,000 to live comfortably in retirement. And then you have to divide that into monthly terms, that's how our bills come. That shows them that they roughly could take out $3,300 a month without their income running out over a 20-year period. So if they were spending more than $3,300 a month those first years in retirement, they're going to know maybe they got to scale back a few years later because their account will exhaust, over that 20-year period. So it's just a great way of planning to try and get what your monthly number is, between your pension, your 401k, and Social Security, what you can live by off of each month. So in life, we have wants and we have needs. Paying your mortgage, paying your utilities, paying your car payment. Those are stuff we have to pay each, week, each month. But buying a cup of coffee, whatever it might be that vice you have, you don't have to buy that. So this is a very conservative example. This is somebody that rather than spending $1.49 on a cup of coffee each day, Monday through Friday over 45 years, if they were to invest that in the stock market, averaging an 8% rate of return, which is very realistic if you're someone that's in the market more aggressively and not trying to time the market, that's an extra $156,000 you could have in retirement by not spending that dollar or two, each day like some of us spend. So just be careful. Find ways to be creative. A lot of times I know it's hard to save. We have bills. I'm not encouraging not working out, but as you can see, I'm someone that really hasn't hit the gym in a while. So about 3 years ago, on January 2nd, like many people do, what do? They see all these commercials, Planet Fitness, whoever it might be, I'm going to sign up for a gym membership. So I did that, spending $19.99 a month, and I really don't go. So I realized, why am I giving a company $19.99 a month when I'm not utilizing their services? What I did recently? I stopped. That's more money that I can put in my 401k plan. Maybe someday I'll get motivated again, I'll go back on the treadmill. Another thing is, call your cable company. I think we all can agree cable's very expensive. Threaten to leave. You know what they're going to say? Oh, Mr. Fenton, you're right. We have been screwing you over for the last couple of years. We're going to lower your bill by $40, and we're going to give you free HBO and Showtime for the next year. It works. That's ways that you can put more money into your retirement account that maybe you couldn't have before. So find ways to see where you're spending money where you don't need to be spending that money. So as far as the 401k part of your annuity fund, if you're so lucky enough and you want to max it out, you're eligible to contribute up to $18,500 if you're under the age of 50. If you're 50 or older, you're able to do what's called a catch-up contribution. Just basically means that you can put an additional $6,000 on top of the $18,500, so a total of $24,500. This also is a great way, not only saving for retirement, but you're lowering your taxable income each paycheck each year. So whatever you save inside your 401k component, this shows the IRS you're actually making less income than you actually made for the year. So it's a great way to lower your taxes, especially if you're in a higher tax bracket. So let's talk about your investments. Keep in mind, when it comes to any type of retirement account that's sponsored by your employer, you're not able to pick and choose your own companies. Why? Unfortunately, companies can fall out of favor. Look what just recently happened to Toys R Us. Sears looks like to be in rough shape. Remember the days you actually go out and pick your own video at Blockbuster Video? Remember you actually had that card? So companies can fall out of favor, whether it's Enron, a huge company that was based in Texas, 15 plus years ago. So if you were putting your money in one company, that's how you could retire and literally have zero assets. So when you invest in your annuity fund, your 401k plan, you're investing in mutual funds. All that basically means is the mutual fund manager, that expert, they don't care what companies you do or don't like. They're going to invest in companies that they feel are good investments, whether it's healthcare, technology, manufacturing, it could be construction type companies, real estate, retail, you name it. So if one sector of the market doesn't do well, you don't get so adversely affected because your money's just been that diversified. So of course, mutual funds and stocks, as you can see, have the most risk potential short term, but long term has the most growth. Bonds and cash are more conservative ways of investing, less short-term risk, but also a lot less short-term growth. So it's a giveth and taketh in life. The more risk you're willing to assume, the more chances for, better returns you're going to see. There is no such thing as an investment that's going to totally protect your money and then give you a 6, 7, 8% rate of return. If that investment exists, I want you to sit down with me because that's where I want to put all my money. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And then this next slide basically is showing you what the market's been doing. So as Gina mentioned, this month of October has been pretty volatile. It's been pretty rocky. But the one point you all want to remember when it comes to your money, you never lose money until you panic, until you sell your funds. So the market, you could lose $1,000 overnight. Never say, I lost that $1,000. All it means is the share cost of your investment dropped. The good news is when you're putting more money into your account, especially a month like we're experiencing now, you're actually buying on sale. You're getting more shares for the money you're contributing during a downtime. So for those of you that were working and investing in '08, you probably remember that as being pretty, a scary, volatile year. But if you're someone that didn't panic, didn't move your money around that year, you didn't lose a single penny. Because yes, it looked like you were losing, but what happened March of 2009, basically until the start of this year, the market's been exploding up. So look at investing in the market like owning a house. If you buy a house for $300,000 and it drops in value to $150,000, are you going to walk away from it and sell it at a $150,000 loss and then re-buy back that same house 5 years later for $500,000? No. But for whatever reason, we do that with our investments. We see something's doing bad, we want to get out, and then we see that same fund's doing good a year from now, and we want to get back in. That's the only way you can lose money in the market is when you get emotional. The best advice anyone can give you is stay the course. And the whole point of this slide is it just shows you the more aggressive, the more risk you're willing to assume, of course, the more long-term growth you're going to see. The market, through those good years, those bad years, and the flat year, historically, every decade is up around 8%. The bond and money markets, unfortunately, not even close to 8%. You do have a generous fixed account available in your plan that most corporations don't have for their employees, and it pays a guaranteed rate of 3%. Most employers have what's called the money market, which basically is yielding 0. So if you are conservative and you wanted an investment vehicle to put your money where you're guaranteed not to lose money, you do have that investment option. So I know we're running short in time. There's a couple ways you can invest. Picture taking vitamins. I know nothing about vitamins, nor do I care to learn anything about vitamins. So when I do take a vitamin, what do I take? A multivitamin pill. One pill, but it has all my supplements. So the top two options are very similar to a multivitamin pill. Rather than you have to pick and choose your own funds and put pressure on yourself to build yourself a portfolio you might not be comfortable with, you can invest basically by date, your age, or by your risk tolerance. And the experts build you that portfolio for yourself. The bottom option is you're the boss. You're deciding what vitamins, what funds to select, at what percentages. So there's more of a burden on your plate. Most folks don't have the time, the care, the knowledge to do that. So if you want to be more hands-off, that's where a target date retirement fund or a risk-based model is a great way of investing because they diversify everything for you. This is just a list of all the funds available in your plan. So as you can see on the top, large cap. So those funds are investing in large U.S. companies, your Amazons, your Coca-Colas, your Googles. The two funds in the middle are considered mid-cap stocks. A mid-cap stock is basically a large company that's based in a certain region of the country. So who's ever been to the state of Florida? What supermarket, there's about 8 of them in every town? Publix, exactly. Large company in the Southeast, don't exist in the Northeast. So mid-cap stocks are companies that are large, specific to regions. Small-cap stocks, these are your small, growth-oriented companies. These are companies that are starting out, or it could be a company that specializes in one service. They do that service really well. So if Gina owns a company that produces engines for cars, and she just has a contract with Ford, and then other U.S. Car manufacturers want to buy engines from Gina, what's going to happen to her company? She's going to grow, hire more people. Vice versa, what happens 10 years from now if all cars go electric? Is that good for Gina's company? No. That's all she produces is engines, nothing else. So her company is going to go through some rough times. So that's what a typical small cap stock is. And then, as I mentioned, you have your guaranteed account, the 3%. That is the only fund in your plan we can use guaranteed not to lose money. Any other investment in this plan, of course, you can make a lot more than 3%. And then, of course, short term, you could lose money as well. And then you have your bonds to my right here, which is basically just like a reverse loan. You're lending your money to someone, whether it's a corporation, municipality. Just keep in mind, bonds have been a little volatile lately. As interest rates rise, that has the adverse effect on bonds. So that's why you might see, if you go online, and bonds really aren't doing anything this year. Currently, your target date retirement funds are managed by Manning & Napier. As Gina mentioned, the trustees meet with MassMutual and they review your funds. So they're going to see if there's funds that are underperforming and put them on a watch list. Just recently, they made a decision effective January 2nd of next year to move out of Manning & Napier and move into American Century target date funds. Now, Jill's going to speak after myself, and she represents American Century, and she'll go over, how the target date funds work in more detail. There's nothing you all have to do as far as transitioning when this does take place. Your money will be mapped over automatically from Manning & Napier to the American Century target date retirement funds. The bottom line is the year just basically represents the closest approximation when you're going to retire or be retirement age. So the further the year away is, say 2060, the more aggressive a target date retirement fund is. But then as that year gets closer and closer, your target date series, without you having to make changes yourself, will get you more and more conservative. So it's like a glide path approach. And then here are the American Century ones that will be added coming next year. Notice, and again, Jill will touch upon this in more detail, you now have 5-year increments. In the past, you can only invest in a 10-year increment. So now let's just say your retirement year falls in the middle. Now you have an option to go into a 2045, a 2035, where before you had to choose between a 2030 and a 2040. So that's something that's new as well. So again, I know we're running short in time. The best advice I can give you, I mentioned it 100 times already, don't time the market. This isn't Back to the Future. Remember when Biff had that nice sports almanac? And he would know if the Red Sox are going to win or lose tonight and how many runs will be scored, and you can make a lot of money. That book does not exist. It doesn't exist when it comes to investing either. So I know it can be an emotional thing, but you gotta stay the course, ride out the waves. Just remember, there's always more positive days, positive years in the market than there are volatile days and years in the market like we're experiencing this month. And then please go on to the website. It's retiresmart.com. Don't go to massmutual.com. MassMutual also services other benefits. So we wanted a specific website geared to our retirement accounts. We also have a mobile app. So if you go to your app store, type in Retire Smart, you can download the app and make changes to your contributions, view your account anytime over the phone. And as you can see, here's what the website looks like. Me and my team will be here in the back for the rest of the day. If anybody wants an individual meeting, whether it's how to log on to your account, you want to make some investment changes, have any questions, please sit down with us. We're more than happy to help you out. And then this is our toll-free 1-800 line. We have some cards in the back that have all this information, but you can give us a call. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have 2 U.S.-based service centers, and we can educate you or go over any questions you ever have at any point. And here's the app. And any questions or anything that you're hoping to address, and if not, please, we can have individual type discussions in the back. Again, I thank everybody for your time.